Tonight, as part of this launch event, we have the pleasure of acknowledging an Ottawa teacher for excellence in Holocaust education with the Arie van Mansum Award. The Arie van Mansum Award was initiated as a tribute to Mr. Arie van Mansum, a righteous Gentile from the Netherlands who lived in Ottawa. During the Second World War, Mr. van Mansum came to the aid of many Jews in the Netherlands, providing them with food and refuge from the Nazis. Because of his involvement with the Dutch underground, Mr. van Mansum was caught and imprisoned in a concentration camp for 2 years. I am pleased to announce that this year's Arie van Mansum Award recipient is Tricia Leduc, a deserving and exceptional Ottawa area educator. Ms. Leduc has demonstrated an ongoing commitment to teaching her students the lessons of the Holocaust and ensuring that they are not forgotten. Tricia is a teacher-librarian for grades 9 to 12 at Sir Wilfrid Laurier Secondary School in Ottawa. She successfully lobbied her school to offer and then teach a grade 12 course called Conflict and Crisis. Leduc introduced Holocaust studies to her students through a rich and thoughtful variety of topics and mediums, including using Stanton's 10 Stages of Genocide, film and graphic novel study, and examining Nazi propaganda aimed at children. Ms. Leduc enriches her teaching through her own experience traveling to Rwanda and Eastern Europe to study genocide with other Canadian teachers. She uses material from her trip to, as she puts it, erase the time lapse since the Holocaust and help students connect with this human tragedy. For the past 6 years, she has organized an Ottawa Youth Conference in honor of Canada's National Day of Remembrance and Action on Mass Atrocities. Ms. Leduc says her ultimate hope is that her students' empathy towards victims and survivors will allow them to always be critical of mass human rights violations wherever they occur, and that exposure to the cruel actions possible by human beings will make them less likely to follow along with individuals who perpetrate human rights violations. We are very fortunate that there are teachers like Tricia Leduc who have such a positive influence on her grades 9 through 12 group of students. We are pleased to have with us tonight Ria Euverman, Arie van Mansum's daughter, to present this award and say a few words. Would Ria, Tricia Leduc, and Mina please join me on stage?
Thank you for inviting our family here again this evening. It is a privilege for me to be here as the oldest daughter of Arie van Mansum, representing our family. My father passed away May 6, 1999, and would have been 98 if he were still alive. He was a great example to our family, and we are very proud of him. He continued to help people in need throughout his life and modeled self-sacrifice to his children and grandchildren. My father was brought up in a Christian home, which always welcomed people and helped them if they were in need. From a very young age, he was taught that all people are created equally in God's image, and that we are called to love them no matter what their social status or race. Therefore, he could not turn his back on the Jewish people who were being persecuted during the Second World War and the occupation of Holland. At the young age of 19 or 20, he became involved by coordinating hiding places for Jews, delivering food stamps and rations, and providing false IDs. This took up so much of his time that he had to give up his paying job, which was a traveling salesman. He did not know any of these people before the war, yet he risked his life for them. His strong faith in God got him through an interrogation, solitary confinement, and imprisonment. Even though he hid hundreds of Jews, young and old, his only desire was that he could have saved more. His heroic story can be read in a book written by Janet Keith, A Friend Among Enemies. And he provided signed copies for all of his grandchildren so that they could read his story as well when they were old enough to read. In later years, when my father learned there were those who would deny that the Holocaust even existed, he was invited by the Jewish community to speak at schools and a number of events so that the truth of what he saw and had experienced during the war could be shared with younger generations. He knew that the evil forces of racism could emerge in this generation and history could repeat itself. Tricia Leduc. It is an honor for me to present this award to you on behalf of my father, Arie van Mansum.
This is very overwhelming, was my first statement. This is a very generous recognition. When I think of what Arie van Mansum did in his lifetime, what I'm doing seems to be like the absolute least that educators can do in our world in recognizing the Holocaust, genocide studies, as well as human rights violations. So I very humbly accept this award. I would like to acknowledge that I've had the opportunity to work with Chess in the last few years. Indeed, last November, Chess hosted a teacher workshop on refugees then and now, which I attended, and I've attended their events before, so as a teacher I recognize the very value of the work that's being done through this organization for all educators in our city. As well, I had the opportunity to work with Chess in organizing last year's youth conference, which is held in April, on April 23rd, Canada's National Day of Remembrance and Action on Mass Atrocities. After my travels to Eastern Europe to study the Holocaust, and traveling through Lithuania, Belarus, and Poland with Canadian teachers, my passion for genocide studies only increased, and traveling to Rwanda twice to study the Rwandan genocide as well led me to looking for more ways to put genocide studies into our curriculum in our schools here in Ottawa. And I've had the opportunity to do that as a history and law teacher and as a social justice teacher. And now as teacher-librarian, I do dedicate time to organize the Ottawa Youth Conference every year in April. Last year, we were focused on the theme of refugees, and some of the Chess members helped me get in touch with presenters that I was trying to get in touch with. And that collaboration was very much appreciated, and I really enjoyed that opportunity. I've also had the opportunity to work with the Montreal Holocaust Museum over the years when we've held our Ottawa Youth Conference at Carleton University and have them come in. And only 2 years ago, indeed, the theme was How Hatred Leads to Atrocities. And the Holocaust Museum in Montreal came in to present the keynote speech on Kristallnacht to really reinforce among students that even prior to the war beginning, that there were hate speech in place that allowed for atrocities to be perpetrated across Germany. It seems most timely that Prime Minister Trudeau did offer the apology for the MS St. Louis today, which is part of the Ontario curriculum in our history classes. So we do teach about the MS St. Louis, and we teach about the policy of none is too many with regards to immigration during the 1930s and 1940s in Canada. And we definitely, as teachers, try to make sure that students understand that the Holocaust and anti-Semitism is not something that happened an ocean away 60 years ago, 80 years ago, that it is something that is, unfortunately, still present in society, even in our own city. I suppose I'll just finish with the idea when I think about why Holocaust education and genocide studies and social justice studies are so important in our schools across Canada and North America, for that fact. I suppose what we're trying to accomplish are three things. One, definitely in having visited Eastern Europe and studied the Holocaust in three particular countries, is to have students recognize the potential for evil in every individual, that we have to recognize even within ourselves. through little manipulation and a certain set of circumstances, that there is the potential among many over time and even presently to act in ways that are truly horrific. And students need to realize this. Second, we hope that through offering these lessons on the Holocaust, that there can be recognition of those who acted according to their moral compass. And of course, Arie van Mansum is a prime example, being one of the righteous among nations. We do like to try and highlight, when looking at the Holocaust, those individuals around the globe who did stand by their moral compass, were not bystanders, and looked to help and save as many individuals as possible. And we want those role models to be on student radars so that they don't feel like they don't know what that looks like to stand up, even in dangerous and risky circumstances. And lastly, third, we hope to awaken empathy within students. We try to put them in a position whereby they can imagine what it would be like to be the target, or to be a person suffering, or a person who witnesses people dying around them at the hands of others due to hatred. Trust me when I say that there are many educators in the city and across the province, across Canada and North America, who do work hard at trying to instill these messages. And of course, with the help of the education and scholarship that exists around the world, it makes it a lot easier for us to do in our classrooms. Thank you.
Teresa, on behalf of everybody here and on behalf of the Center for Holocaust Education and Scholarship, I can't thank you enough for the work you're doing with the young generation. Thank you, Teresa.
That was very inspiring. Congratulations, Tricia, on such a well-deserved award. And I'll say that from standing up here in this position to watch the standing ovation that you were given was very moving. You could just see how your story moved everyone here. And thank you as well to Ria for sharing your father's story and his tremendous impact.